It was the summer of 2019, and I was driving back home from visiting my cousin in South Dakota. It was just over a 10-hour trip, and around the 8-hour mark, I hit a wall of exhaustion. My eyes were getting heavy, and I started drifting between lanes. I figured it wasn't worth risking it. I'd find the nearest cheap place to crash for the night and finish the drive in the morning. It was already close to midnight when I saw a flickering neon sign that read Pine Rest Inn on the side of the road. It looked old, but open. The parking lot was mostly empty except for a beat-up pickup truck and what looked like a moving van. The front office had a bell on the desk, and it took a full minute before a man shuffled out from the back room to check me in. He was in his 50s, heavyset, and had that thin, greasy hairline that looked like it hadn't been washed in days. His name tag said Russ. He didn't say much, just asked, "Cash your card," and handed me a room key labeled Room 6. The room was at the far end of the L-shaped building. It smelled like old carpet and stale air, and the lights flickered when I turned them on. It was run down, but I didn't care. I dropped my backpack on the chair and collapsed on the bed. That's when I noticed the mirror on the wall. It was directly across from the bed. One of those old rectangular mirrors with a thin wooden frame. Not fancy, just generic. But something about it didn't sit right. Maybe it was the angle or how unusually clean it was compared to the rest of the dusty furniture. I walked up to it, tapped on it. Solid, but the sound felt slightly hollow. I shook off the unease. I was probably just tired and overthinking it. I turned off the lights and got under the covers. I didn't fall asleep right away. There were strange creaks and groans in the walls. At some point, I heard something that sounded like shuffling. Not loud, just enough to make me freeze. I sat up, listened. It stopped. I slowly got out of bed and opened the bathroom door. The light buzzed when I flipped the switch. I splashed water on my face and stared at myself in the mirror above the sink. And then I realized something. The main mirror on the wall across the room, it wasn't reflecting the bathroom door behind me. I turned back and looked. It was angled slightly, subtly, like it wasn't mounted flat, more like it had been placed intentionally to look flush, but wasn't. I walked back over to it, heart now pounding for no logical reason. I leaned my ear to the mirror. It was faint, but there was a sound. Breathing. I stepped back fast. Something was definitely wrong. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. I scanned the edges of the mirror, no screws, just sealed edges with a tiny seam running around the inside. Then I remembered something I'd seen online. If you touch your finger to a two-way mirror and there's no gap between your finger and its reflection, it's probably a window. I reached out. My fingertip pressed to the glass. No gap. My stomach sank. I ran to my backpack, pulled out the small multi-tool I always kept in the side pocket, and jammed it into the edge of the mirror, prying it just enough to pop the corner loose. With a loud crack, the top edge gave way, and I peeled the mirror off the wall. Behind it was a hole, a hidden space between the room walls, maybe 3 feet wide. And inside it, directly behind where the mirror had been, was a folding chair and a camera mounted on a small tripod. The red recording light was still blinking. The chair was empty, but someone had definitely been sitting there, watching. It was October of 2021, and I had just started my first semester living in the dorms at East Grove University. My roommate hadn't moved in yet due to some delay with his housing paperwork, so for the first 3 weeks, I had the room to myself. The dorm was one of the older buildings on campus, maybe built in the 60s or 70s. You could tell by the yellowed tiles and the radiator vents instead of modern AC. The room was tight, 2 beds, 2 desks, and a single window. But I was just happy to be away from home. The first weird thing I noticed was the vent above my bed. It was larger than the others in the hallway, and it looked like it had been unscrewed and reattached at least a dozen times. The edges were warped, rusty. It didn't blow any air, just sat there. I started hearing things from inside it around the end of the first week. Soft bumps, like shifting metal, sometimes even the faintest scratching. I told myself it was old pipes or a squirrel, but it kept happening. Then one night, I was scrolling through my phone with my lamp off and the room dark, and I heard something unmistakable. A whisper. I froze. It wasn't loud, just enough to make out two words. "He's watching." I sat up and stared at the vent. My heart was pounding. It was too low to be from the hallway. It sounded like it came from inside the wall. I flipped on the lamp and stood on the bed to look at the vent. The screws looked freshly scratched, like they'd been loosened recently. I tried tugging on it, but it held tight. I spent the rest of the night with my earbuds in, trying to pretend I imagined it. The next day, I asked the RA about weird noises in the building. She just said, "Yeah, old building, you'll get used to it." I didn't. A few nights later, I noticed something even worse. I was changing clothes, shirt off, sweatpants halfway on, when I saw a red light blink from inside the vent. Not like a glowing light, more like a flash, like from a camera. I screamed and grabbed a towel to cover myself, then ran into the hallway and pounded on the RA's door. I told her someone was inside the vent watching me. At first, she didn't believe me, but I refused to go back in until someone checked it. So the next day, maintenance came. They removed the vent cover and found a phone duct-taped inside, set to record, batteries still warm. Campus police got involved. They took the phone. I filed a report, but there were no cameras in the hallways and they couldn't trace whose phone it was. No prints. It was a burner. No SIM, no cloud login, just hours of silent, dark footage. They told me I'd be relocated while they looked into it. I spent the night in a friend's dorm across campus. Around 2 a.m., I got a text from an unknown number. "You should have smiled more." I blocked the number immediately, showed it to campus security, but again, nothing make a trace. 2 days later, they found the ceiling panel above the shared bathroom in my dorm was loose. Inside was a mattress pad and candy wrappers. Someone had been living up there, sneaking into vents, watching. The entire floor was shut down after that. Everyone was moved to temporary housing. I still don't know who he was. No one was caught. No footage. Just whispers, a red light, and a phone full of videos of people who had no idea they were being watched. I haven't stayed in a dorm since.
This happened in early 2020, just before the pandemic shut everything down. My friend Sean had just lost his uncle, who lived 2 towns over. His family was going through all his old stuff and found out he'd been renting a large storage unit for over a decade. No one had a key, but the bill was still being paid monthly through autopay from his bank account. Sean asked if I'd come with him to check it out. He said his uncle had been kind of a recluse in his later years, single, no kids, and lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. It was weird to everyone that he needed so much storage space. We got to the facility around noon on a Saturday. It was one of those massive indoor complexes, gray, windowless, and quiet. The front desk let us in after we showed ID, and they unlocked the unit for us. It was way in the back, Unit 417B. The metal roll-up door creaked like it hadn't been touched in years. Inside, it was packed. Boxes stacked almost to the ceiling, furniture, tubs of clothes, a rusted treadmill, old TVs. Just decades of someone's forgotten life shoved into a metal room. It smelled like dust and insulation. Sean brought a flashlight because the automatic lights in the hallway didn't reach far inside. We started digging through boxes. At first, it was just boring stuff, tax records, VHS tapes, random knickknacks. But tucked in the back corner of the unit, behind a collapsed bookcase, we saw something weird. A metal locker, like a narrow gym-style storage cabinet but bigger. It had 2 padlocks on it and black duct tape crisscrossed over the front. Sean asked if I had anything we could use to break it open. I had a tire iron in my trunk. We hesitated for a bit, but curiosity got the best of us. We jammed the iron under the bottom padlock and pried it until it snapped. The second one gave way a little easier. The metal door groaned as it opened. Inside were dozens of old camcorder tapes, all labeled neatly with names and dates. Sean pulled one out. The name on the label said Jessica, 09702. Another one read Ryan, 03-1999. Then Brittany, 11-12-03. There were no last names, just first names and what looked like specific dates, sometimes with AM or PM scribbled next to them. In the very back of the locker was a cardboard box filled with loose photos. They were grainy, printed on cheap photo paper. Every single one was of people, not portraits, but candid shots. People sitting in cars, leaving their houses, shopping. Most of them didn't seem to know they were being photographed. Then we found the last tape in the stack. It had no name, just the date, 03-7-20. Today's date. Sean and I looked at each other. He turned pale. There was a TV in the unit, one of those old boxy ones with built-in VHS. It was dusty, but we plugged it into an outlet on the wall. The light on the front blinked red. Sean popped in the tape. At first, static, then a shaky video. It was a shot from inside a car parked across from a coffee shop. The camera zoomed in on someone leaving the shop, holding 2 cups. It was me and Sean, taken earlier that same morning. It zoomed in close enough to see our faces, my hoodie, Sean's baseball cap. The timestamp on the bottom corner of the footage said 11:22 a.m. We had left the shop at 11:30. Someone had been recording us minutes before we even arrived at the storage place. Sean yanked the tape out of the TV and smashed it on the concrete. It shattered, tape flying everywhere. We shoved the tapes back into the locker and slammed the door shut. I told Sean we had to call the police, now. We ran out of the unit and back to the front desk. They called local authorities, and within 30 minutes, detectives were on the scene. They took everything. The tapes, the photos, even the locker itself. Sean's family had to stay for questioning. The cops said they'd call me if I was needed. A week later, Sean called. He said detectives were still reviewing the tapes and had confirmed at least a dozen victims were featured in places that looked private: bedrooms, bathrooms, cars. In at least 2 cases, people had been filmed inside their own homes. They never found a name attached to the locker. Nothing in his uncle's apartment hinted at anything similar. No equipment, no journals, no prints. The cops were exploring the theory that the locker didn't belong to his uncle at all, that maybe someone had bribed him or threatened him to keep paying the bill and keep the unit under his name. But no one really knows. All I know is someone was recording people for years, carefully, systematically, with dates and names, like some kind of obsessive collector. And the scariest part? That last tape, the one with our names and date missing, was the only one that had no label. It didn't need one. Whoever recorded us already knew exactly who we were.
This happened in the spring of 2022, a few months after I moved into my first apartment alone. It was a 1-bedroom place on the 2nd floor of a small 3-story building in a quiet neighborhood just outside the city. I had only been living there for about 2 months, and so far everything had been fine.
Quiet neighbors, close to the bus stop, decent rent. I worked remotely, so I was home a lot, especially during the day. I had developed a bit of a routine. Coffee around 9, a quick break around 2 p.m. to walk around the block or grab a snack, then back to work. The weird stuff started with a package. One Tuesday afternoon, around 3 p.m., there was a knock at the door. No doorbell, just 2 knocks. I hadn't ordered anything, but I opened the door anyway and saw a small brown package sitting there. No delivery person in sight. No branding on the box, just my name. No return address. I figured it was a mistake or a gift from a friend. I brought it inside and opened it. Inside the box was a USB stick. That's it. A plain black flash drive and a folded note that simply read, "Please watch this. You're being watched too." I stared at it for a long time before deciding to plug it in. I knew it was risky, but curiosity got the best of me. I used my work laptop, isolated from my main one, and opened the drive. There was one video file. It was called window_03-27-22_1444.mp4. I clicked play. The video showed footage of my apartment building, specifically my living room window, the same one I sat beside every day at my desk. It was filmed from across the street, from behind a tree, zoomed in just enough that you could see me clearly, typing at my laptop. Then the footage cut. The next clip was dated 03-28-22, a different angle. This time it was taken from the right, maybe from the apartment complex across the alley. It zoomed in through my kitchen window. You could see me making coffee, scratching my head, completely unaware. There were 4 clips total, all from different days, different angles, different hidden spots. I immediately closed the file, ejected the drive, and called the building manager. I explained what I found and asked if there were any exterior cameras around the property. He said no and added that if someone had been filming me, it probably wasn't on our property, so there wasn't much they could do. I didn't sleep that night. I spent hours checking the windows, looking outside, drawing the blinds. Every time I heard a car drive past or someone walking by, I froze. The next morning, I installed a cheap outdoor camera facing the front steps. 2 days later, I caught something. Around 5:47 a.m., someone walked up the stairs, hood up, face down, holding a box. They didn't ring the bell, just left the package and turned around. I paused the footage, zoomed in as best I could. The person was wearing surgical gloves. The same day, a second package showed up. Identical. Same size, same label, same lack of return address. Inside this one was another USB stick and a photo. The photo showed me in my hallway, shirtless, brushing my teeth. It had been taken from behind, from inside my apartment. I called the police. They came, took my statement, took the drive and photo, and said they'd open an investigation. I asked if they found signs of a break-in. They didn't. Nothing was tampered with. Locks were intact, but something was wrong. I could feel it. I bought a new lock for my front door and set up motion detectors. I hardly left the apartment for a week. Every noise felt amplified. Every shadow on the wall felt like someone watching me again. 3 nights later, I woke up around 2 a.m. to the soft sound of plastic sliding against wood. I got out of bed, heart racing, and slowly crept toward the hallway. There was a third box, just sitting there on the kitchen counter. I hadn't heard the door open. I hadn't heard a knock. I looked around. Nothing was open, no broken windows. It was just there. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was another USB stick and a note that said, "You missed one." I never found out what it meant. I left the apartment that night, packed a bag, drove to my sister's place across town, and never spent another night there. Police eventually told me they had no leads, no fingerprints, no suspects. They said it could have been someone who knew me, or someone completely random, or something darker. All I know is someone got into my home more than once, knew where I slept, filmed me, left me pieces of a nightmare I still don't fully understand. It's been 2 years. I never got another package. But I still wonder, every time I look at a window, whose eyes are behind the glass?